Thank you. I wanted to start by thanking you all for being here, and also the Human Rights Center, especially Andrea, Julie, and Alexi, and the patron for the fellowship, Dr. White. So the title for my presentation is Citizen or Terrorist: The Logic of Depriving Islamabad's Working Class Their Right to Shelter. So in the summer of 2015, about 20,000 residents of an informal settlement in Islamabad were forcibly removed from their homes by police and paramilitary rangers under the directives of the Islamabad High Court and also the Ministry of Interior. Their entire settlement was demolished. This was in violation of not only the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but also the Pakistani Constitution and the National Housing Policy. Sobering accounts came into view through the media: women refusing to move from their homes in the face of bulldozers, men and women bait charged, struck with pellets, water cannon, tear gas. Some women were reported to have had miscarriages. Children of all ages were witness to these altercations, and a 6-day-old baby died due to suffocation. The vast majority of Islamabad's residents, however, remained unmoved. A theoretical explanation of what had happened certainly explains why this was so. Working-class residents were being removed from homes that they had built for themselves on contested land to make way for the development of a middle-class housing scheme. An added benefit would be to remove the ugliness of informal settlements considered blight on Islamabad's modernist aesthetic. However, another thread runs through this story of eviction, as I found out during the course of my fellowship. It begins with the resident of an informal settlement of Islamabad, whose name is Amin Khan, who filed a petition with the Islamabad High Court when he was frustrated in his attempt to obtain a national identity card. According to the petition, owing to deprivation of the identity card, quote, "The life of the petitioner and that of other affectees is meaningless because it is tied with the right to get an education, the right to inherit property, participation in jobs, and equal treatment." End quote. This has become truer as the state responds to unrest with increasing securitization and surveillance. ID cards have become one of the most important ways to legitimate one's citizenship in Pakistan, including the right to inhabit a city, to even use its roads for one's daily commute. In Pakistan's seemingly permanent state of insecurity, Amin is right that the denial of an ID card is akin to erasing him and denying him of his life and its meaning. Amin belongs from a tribe of South Waziristan, which is one of the frontiers upon which the war on terror is being waged in Pakistan currently. But it has always been a region considered unruly, dangerous, and volatile, owing to its history of resistance to outside rule, including during the time of British colonial administration. Amin's petition suggests the frustration experienced by those living on the margins of the state. Denial of an ID document to a Pakistani citizen originating from this region is indicative of the state's gaze upon them as other, which continues the British colonial legacy. A court of law, when faced with his petition for an identity document, reacts most unexpectedly, ordering the demolition of an entire housing settlement. Amin was not even a resident of the settlement that was demolished, which was referred to as Afghan settlement by the authorities. The politics of naming the settlement as Afghan is significant as it imputes a foreignness to the residents of the settlement when nearly all of them were Pakistani Pashtuns. The unwanted Afghan refugee, more than 2 million of whom made Pakistan home after the 1980 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, becomes conflated with an ethnic Pakistani Pashtun identity. According to Pakistan's housing policy, resettlement must be completed before an eviction can take place. However, as this case depicts, the stipulation can be flouted by denying residents of their Pakistaniness. How are we to understand this withholding of human rights? Even if someone is not a citizen, surely they must have access to universal human rights. But these rights can be taken away in one fell swoop by branding someone who's a resident of a settlement as terrorist. These are some of the placards that some children were holding before the demolition took place. The children resided in the settlement that was demolished. So the figure of a potentially foreign Pashtun male is all it takes in the popular and increasingly xenophobic Pakistani imagination to create an other who can be doubly damned. Once for being just on the suspicion of being an Afghan refugee who does not have rights usually afforded to regular Pakistani citizens, and again for the mere possibility of them being a terrorist. This hybrid figure of an Afghan refugee terrorist is easily imposed on any Pashtun male and employed in a class warfare that a neoliberal state's court validates. This extinguishes any claim to universal human rights on part of the working classes residing in informal settlements in urban Pakistan, including in Islamabad. In this way, the working classes are thus shorn of their right to have rights. Thank you.